Some players use lightning spells, others prefer rage, and most rely on freeze, but there's one spell that's consistently overlooked in nearly every attack. A spell that can dramatically boost the power of your attack, yet is often ignored without good reason. I'm of course talking about the clone spell. The clone spell is one of the most overlooked spells in the entire game, and in this video, I'm going to go over why the clone spell deserves more love and how it got to be so underrated. It's no secret that the clone spell is seen only in certain attacks, like Super Archer Blimp or the increasingly popular Yeti clone attack, but the clone spell is far more versatile than most players realize. When first unlocked at Town Hall 10, it doesn't seem all that impressive. At that level, most players are using Mass Dragons or Witch Bowler attacks. But still, the clone is useful, especially in blimp-based attacks where clone balloons are dropped directly onto the Town Hall. Besides that, however, it feels underwhelming when you unlock it. Having a clone capacity of only 22 housing space at level 1, it's understandable why not many players bother with it. And for a while, it doesn't improve much, gaining only 2 additional housing space per level, capping at 30 by level 5. Although, it didn't used to always be like this. To fully understand the clone spell and where it's at now, it's important to look at some backstory. When the clone spell was first released, it only had 4 levels and looked like this after its first buff a year later. It also cost an expensive 4 housing space per spell. Thankfully though, they quickly changed it down to 3 after over 2 whole years of it being at 4. Supercell also decided to unfortunately nerf the clone into the ground after changing it to 3 housing space. So much for that. A shell of its original form. It took them a long time to realize what they had done, and 4 years later we received the current form of the clone spell, making it much more viable at lower town halls, although still not great. However, the damage from that 4-year span was already done, and the clone spell had become an afterthought when selecting spells for an army. But now, everything changes at Town Hall 13. The upgrade rate doubles, increasing by 4 housing space per level when fully maxed out at Town Hall 15. The clone spell can duplicate up to 42 housing space worth of troops. That's equal to 8 extra balloons per spell if used correctly. This can drastically change the amount of troops an attack can have. Using 4 max spells is equivalent to 8 extra dragons, almost half of an army at that level. Wouldn't having something like 8 extra dragons per attack make it overpowered? It's weird to see such a powerful spell so underused in the current meta of Clash of Clans, especially at higher town hall levels where it's getting the biggest upgrades. It's interesting how powerful some spells are without us even noticing. The rage and freeze spells are so popular and easy to use for so many attacks that people just automatically put them in their lineup when trying out new things. They don't even know about the clone spell's potential. But if the clone spell is so powerful, why isn't everyone using it? Shouldn't everyone be using it if it's so obviously good? Like any spell in Clash of Clans, it's not perfect, except for maybe the rage. One of its disadvantages is that it takes up 3 housing space per spell, while most spells like rage and heal are only 2 housing space, and spells like freeze and poison are 1. The clone spell is the only spell in the game that takes up 3 housing space per spell, meaning the max you can use in an army is 4, 3 from the spell factory and an extra 1 inside the clan castle. This is a major downside to the spell's ability to be useful because one missed clone can completely waste over a quarter of your spell capacity. Along with being 3 housing space and not very powerful at lower town halls, it is also one of the hardest spells to use in the entire game. This is because timing and placement are crucial when using clone spells. Getting the maximum value is hard later in attacks when your troops are more spread around the base and start destroying better defenses like infernos or scatter shots. It makes it harder to clone a group of troops that are going to stay alive for the full 30 seconds when they're instantly getting shot down by expos. Since the clone spell only becomes useful around Town Hall 13, this means that players could have played for years without ever having used the clone spell, leading them to just ignore it as they've already found strategies that work for them. On average, a free-to-play player could take up to 2 years just to reach Town Hall 13, which means some players won't ever even get the chance to use the spell when it's at its best form, not even mentioning the practice it takes to master it. However, in the right hands, the clone spell can be one of the most powerful spells in the entire game. Its ability to turn a dead push into a strong one cannot be overlooked, and it is a shame that a lot of players only use the clone spell in some armies. It can be paired with a blimp and balloons that are sent to the middle of the base to take out almost every key defense, or a blimp with super archers and invisibility sent into the core of a base to destroy it from the inside out. However, there's been a new discovery regarding the clone spell. Recently, there has been a breakthrough in the usage of the clone spell with the introduction of the leaked and limited time troop Super Yeti. Players have been experimenting with the electromites it gives off when taking damage and dying, and discovered that they only had a housing space of 1 when released. meaning they can be turned into 42 mites with the use of a clone spell. This is devastating for bases, as a few of these spells paired with the electromites can almost destroy an entire base. Supercell quickly changed the electromites housing space to 3, limiting the attack strategy, but it is still a viable option with the new update, as the mites are very strong. The clone spell has had a rough history, underwhelming when first unlocked and nerfed hard early on, then ignored for years. But now, especially at higher town halls, it has become a powerful tool that can completely change the outcome of an attack. It's hard to use and takes up 3 spell space, but in the right hands it can be the difference between a failed attack and a 3-star. Whether you're cloning balloons, super archers, or experimenting with electromites, the clone spell has potential most players haven't tapped into yet, making it one of the most underrated spells in Clash of Clans. Let me know what you think about the clone spell in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.